hospitality it's going to be the future.
Yeah.
It's going to be the future.
Oh yeah, with AI.
Yeah.
Oof.
I mean,
Well,
intentionality, personal connection, relationship building, that is the future. You may not be able to get on the golf course with anybody anymore. You may not be able to fly across the country to meet with someone in person, but you can still show that you care. So handshake relationships, it's just the next version of that.
That's right.
And that's how you're going to win those clients. Well, welcome back to another episode of Good Business. Guys, I am stoked to have Luke and James hanging out with us today. We're going to be talking about just this concept of unreasonable hospitality. If you haven't picked up the book by Will Guidara, highly recommend that you watch this episode first, then you go read it. But great book that has honestly been taking the business culture by storm. I mean, you probably have heard it, didn't realize Will was the writer, but it is making a lot of waves. And the reason why is because it helped people connect some dots. So often businesses, they struggle with the balancing act of shareholder value, team members, and customers. And so we're going to talk about how using this concept of hospitality, regardless of if you're in the hospitality industry or not, using this concept as a mechanism for showing the appreciation and value of each of those characters in that three-pronged approach to managing your business. And so the three of us are going to talk about it, but we're not going to take one or the other. It's just going to be a conversation. But James, Luke, thanks for hanging out with me today.
That was always great to be here.
Yeah,
always great.
Thanks for flying all the way in from Ohio.
His arms are tired.
Yeah, his arms are tired.
Yeah.
We're all
This
dads.
is so good to be here.
Oh my gosh.
I'm thrilled.
Okay. All right. So I want to give a little background.
Yeah.
We recently rolled out this core value of hospitality here at Good Agency, and I want to share a little bit why. So for everyone listening in, we were confronted with a situation, a reality check, that as we've grown the business and as we've expanded our client portfolio and as we've gone remote and we're hybrid environments where people are all across the country now, we wanted to get everybody on the same page about the heart that I have had, that James has had since we really got the company going, and that Luke has brought to the team, this heart of caring for others. We've had 5 core values for some time now, and we added the 6th because we wanted to address it. Now, quick quiz. I'll pay you $50 if you. No, I'm just kidding. But we've defined hospitality as the fact that we exceed expectations to make everyone feel valued and cared for. Yeah. There's so much packed into that, but I just want to bring it all down to planet Earth. If you are in a service business, I'd say product business too.
Yeah.
Then you have a responsibility for the assets that you have. I mean, you've got to care for them. Just like you would mow your lawn to take care of your house, you're going to want to maintain your culture. You're going to want to maintain your care for your customers. And if you want to stand out, you've got to exceed expectations. Yep. For so long, I was promised, or I was told to under-promise, over-deliver. That's something my dad hammered into me growing up, and that was so impactful for me. But I think it's just maybe something that isn't, if it's not intentionally ingrained in your culture, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, that's the intro to this concept of hospitality. James, did you want to add anything else?
Yeah, I just want to talk about the problem real quick. The problem is that if you are in a service-based business or in a product-based business and you do not exceed expectations, you're going to lose customers.
Yeah.
You're going to lose team members. You're going to lose shareholder interest.
Yep.
And then the goals of the organization are not going to be met because people do not feel valued and cared for.
Yeah.
And so you have to be thinking. And then, the introduction that Will really makes is, one size does not fit all.
Right.
One size fits one. And so we talked on other podcasts before where if you try to like roll out some company policy that you think is just going to blanket statement to make everyone feel valued, we all feel valued differently.
Yeah.
Each person feels valued differently. And so you can't just walk in and say, well, you all should just feel cared for. It's like, well, people they're not going to, probably. There's some good basic guidelines and those types of things. But when it comes to like letting someone feel cared for, unfortunately, we will miss the mark. We've missed the mark in our past, and we've seen it. And that's why this core value has been added because, unlike service, which is a little bit different, it's like, hey, hospitality is about exceeding the expectations and not just for clients, that's one, and not just for team, that's two, and not just for the stakeholders on third. Like it really is a matter of like, do we actually care about people and want to set expectations that feel like they're being exceeded?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And speaking into that, if you don't do that, a lot of times you're gonna hit a ceiling and you're not gonna be able to get out of it.
Yeah.
And that's the issue. If you want to grow, you've got to have a mindset that says one size fits one.
I love it.
really
So,
good.
Luke, having joined the team more recently, I'd love to hear from you of just what impact have you seen since, because you joined and then a few weeks later, in comes a new
We made the
hospitality core
new
value.
core value. Yeah.
What was the difference in company culture and how was that acted out? And you were very instrumental in making that happen, being in charge of our growth, caring for our current clients, future clients, and current team. So what are your thoughts?
It is really interesting to think about from, and many people listening are looking at good agency from an outside perspective. And so I feel like I had this really powerful opportunity to essentially, as much as you guys were vetting me to get the position, I was vetting you and I was vetting the team. And I was, one of the things I told you up front is like, hey, if your core values don't align with mine as an individual, then there's no point moving forward. And I know you guys were vetting the same thing. And so considering that, the way of which your team went about hiring, the way of which you guys had conversations, the way, we had a lunch that was not an interview at all in the beginning and we're just connecting, it showed to me that the team cared. And obviously as I met team members and got hired, even though we were remote, we all really cared deeply about each other. And, I think a core of that is the way you guys hire. Some of it's faith, some of it's just the general backgrounds of the individuals we have in our company. And we just have an amazing group of people here. Again, because we've hired off of these values. And so when we brought in hospitality, it was more so for me just like, of course. Like this isn't, there's no debate here between us as a leadership team. There's no debate even between the team members. Hey, we made some mistakes. We want to rectify those, but not just because we want to make ourselves look better, but because we're thinking toward the future. And so the big difference I saw, like we went from good to better as a team, no pun intended here, by the way of which we serve. And I think that because we do have service as a core value, and James mentioned it, hospitality took it to a whole new level of like, oh, I don't just have to do the bare minimum. Like actually, each one of us has funds available now to do whatever we want for a customer or prospective customer. And so what I saw happen in team members. And so what I saw happen is like, again, remote team, people just jumping at wanting to be a part of that. There's something that happens when you give someone the opportunity to give to someone else. And I think as humans, we all innately want to do that. Like we want to be givers. And so when you give someone the opportunity, whether it's with funds or just, you sat us down, it was like a 2-hour meeting, Clay, to talk to the whole team about hospitality. And I think after that meeting, everyone did feel a sense, a little bit of a burden, but also like a rally cry to say, oh, I'm a part of this and I can make someone's day. Like, and not just make their day, but make their day unreal and amazing. And that could be your colleague, it could be a client, it could be some random stranger at the coffee shop. And I get the sense that our team is walking that out now.
Yeah, and in Will's book, he Unreasonable Hospitality, he actually gives a title to the person who's responsible for actually enacting it, and the title's Dreamweaver.
Yeah.
Now that's a little like hippie, weird almost, but I love it.
Yep.
Because it's truly about creating a memory that will be so impactful.
Yep.
It's going to show up in your dreams.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love that. So when it comes to that impact, thank you for sharing your feedback, because I love that perspective. It's so clear that when, I mean, it's always been a part of me. I mean, I've always had that heart of service, of hospitality, I've always loved giving gifts and just being intentional with a person. But we made it a cultural thing by integrating that into our core values. Could you share a couple examples of how we showed hospitality during that?
Variety of different ways.
Yeah.
So just throwing out there, you do not have to, put much money into something to make someone feel valued.
Yeah.
Right. There's one thing. We were already on a set with a client, and they needed some additional social media work. And so on the set that we were already a part of, we just went a little bit above and beyond and said, hey, let's create these great things that were going to help your business. It was Luke's idea. It was a great idea.
No, it was Abby's idea.
Abby's idea.
Okay,
Abby.
hold on.
Okay.
And this one was cool because it was a full team effort.
Yeah.
This took, Abby had the idea, had her baby, went on maternity leave, and the shoot got pushed back. I carried some of the help, but then Daniel and Steven and the rest of the team that was there on that day executed it.
They did.
And so just another, I mean, this little example is really cool, but Abby gets all the credit on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so great idea, great way to feel valued. And the client felt so valued that
amazing.
day.
Yeah.
Right? And other examples are something like some of our clients, they love coffee.
Yeah.
I mean, they love it. So what do? We bought them incredible coffee.
Literally the best coffee.
I mean, seriously, it's the best.
Yeah.
Light to dark, love it. Such good coffee.
Light to darkcoffee.com.
We sent it to them, and we're like, here is incredible coffee.
Yeah.
Other folks in different spaces, whether their background. And here's the thing I wanted to mention actually real quick about these stories is like, you actually can't do these stories if you don't listen.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
Like if you are not intentional with listening to what people are saying and what maybe they're not saying, then you're not going to be able to have someone feel valued because you're not intentionally listening to them. Right. And this is something that just transcends time. People feel valued because they feel heard.
Yeah.
And if you're not listening, you can't hear them.
Yeah.
And so one thing I just want to echo to everybody who's a business leader is when your clients are saying something, like listen to what they're saying because you're probably talking about a project or whatever's happening and what's going on, or if you're selling a product, like what they're saying, but listen to the very last moment of like, what are they saying?
Yeah.
And then deliver. I'm not going to do any branding here, but I recently bought a mattress, and their whole exchange process was gold. I felt exceedingly cared for. And it was
while
like, why?
giving it back.
Yes, while giving it back. Got a better one. And so, but here's the thing, the entire process was so great. I'm not yet leaving them as a brand and trying different mattress types. But the thing is because they heard from their clients. And they created a way for their clients to feel exceedingly cared for. I didn't feel a little bit. I was expecting to pay them money for exchanges. Because that's my expectations if I want to exchange something.
It costs them money to exchange it.
Right.
But they found a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
Yeah.
One example that I actually just got a text today. So one of our clients is intimately involved in a nonprofit, and I haven't even told you guys about this yet. Intimately involved in a nonprofit here in the Central Texas area, and they've got a big event coming up, and I saw on social media they were asking for donations, and so I made a small donation, and I said in honor of our client, and that got back to him very quickly. And he said, Clay, that made me feel so cared for. Thank you so much.
Wow.
That's
Cost me
awesome.
$50.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a demonstration that I pay attention to, and we collectively are all looking for that, pay attention to the things that our clients care about. And because that's, if you want to build a relationship, I mean, that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
So,
and I think this is the biggest change that I've seen, just to echo what we've already been saying, is that we actually listen better. Because now we're not listening to sell, we're not listening just to check off a box or do the next to do or just do our job even.
Sure.
Yeah.
We are listening to give that person the best experience and exceed those expectations. If you do read the book, Will Guidara talks about one of the first ones they did, like they heard some story of this family wanting to be at the beach and they couldn't be at the beach. They brought in truckloads of sand into the restaurant and made a beach setting.
Yeah.
But it was only because they listened, to your point, James.
Yes.
And I see our team, we had a spreadsheet of our clients.
Yeah.
And I remember the team going back and forth of ideas. And it was like, I've never seen, spreadsheets are boring often. Sorry, James. But
I do love
it was one of the most beautiful spreadsheets because people were going back and forth and saying,
Best.
yeah.
Best spreadsheet. Sorry.
But we were saying, how can I help you? How can I help you achieve that? And how can I, and people in our company who don't even normally talk to each other get to talk to each other because of hospitality.
Yeah.
Well, let me say this also about the whole listening thing. If you're in a world where you only can serve a person right when they show up in front of your face, aka like Will's situation, it's a restaurant.
Yeah.
Guess what? We live in a great time when people are talking about themselves online.
Yeah.
You just go find them.
Just be the ultimate stalker.
You just got to figure out where they're saying what they're saying and find the information. And if you're, a younger person who's pretty savvy with social media, you can hunt down a lot of people really quickly and find things that make people feel really valued.
Absolutely.
Really valued. And here's the thing also, if you're out there and you're a business leader and you've got team and you do not have like an ongoing special notes list about each one of your team members to find nuggets that they're telling you about, like, I love this band. I love this podcast. I love this type of food, right? Or I love food. I'm a foodie, right? And you don't have that noted somewhere. I want to encourage you right now, have a fun facts about my team sheet somewhere, and just start writing fun stuff down, And when ask them about their weekend, and when they say, "Oh, this weekend I went and saw a concert with so and so," write down loves concerts and loves so and so, And there you go.
No, it's
now
great.
you've got a place to start. So whenever you start to thinking about how do I exceed the expectation, whether it be drastic amounts or just a little bit of exceeding, either way, it's like you have a baseline for, you're not sitting around going, who knows Jim? Anybody know Jim? What does Jim like? Everybody likes cookies. Buy him some cookies.
Turns out he's gluten-free.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Oops.
That's exactly the point.
But there is a point here of if you haven't had the chance to listen, all it takes is 5-10 minutes of research.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're in a world right now in a culture that is willing to give up that time.
Yeah.
That's the exchange here. We're not really, oftentimes hospitality doesn't mean monetary. It means you gave up your time for me. And I think that's the way I see it largely playing out. And it's just so worth it.
Yeah. Well, and that begs the question, what is the outcome of engaging in this hospitality mindset, hospitality culture? I mean, what is the value for a business? I mean, if a shareholder who never is going to meet any client, never is going to meet any of the team members, is kind of off in Neverland, what's the value to them? Well, first and foremost, I'd say that when you create this culture of hospitality, you're creating a culture. I mean, that is what you're doing. Like, it is a culture, and therefore a community, and you're going to increase retention of your team members. You're not going to have as high churn because everybody's working toward a collective goal. They're working together. They're having shared experiences together. Groups that would not normally, to your point, not normally connect with each other because they're in different departments, and they're all working to this collective goal, and they all get to celebrate the wins when they get the, oh my gosh, why did you do this for me? Like, I did not. There's no reason for you to do this for me.
Yeah.
And that makes everyone feel like they're a part of it. It also aligns with your mission. If you have a mission to succeed in anything, for us, it's to impact the world for good by equipping leaders to accomplish their missions.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. So, well, if our team can be able to experience what our clients are experiencing and seeing those missions fulfilled and building that relationship, well, naturally, you're not going to have churn. Well, let's talk about clients. What's the benefit for the clients?
I'm on the sales side. There's a really easy benefit that you can sell more.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to put it that bluntly at first, because if you're a business leader, you're probably looking for what's the ROI on this. And I understand where you're coming from. I understand that you're looking at, well, we're investing more. The people that I pay to do X job, now we're going to just go do all this fun stuff. Like, whoa, there's a lot of trust in a leadership team that has to, that lets that go. I mean, from a financial perspective, from a time perspective, resources beyond. But even before coming into Good, the way I sold to people was through, how can I make the best experience for them? You know, and Clay, I've seen you do this recently too on a sales side, going in and for some of the schools we've worked with, just making them a prepped video. You know, you didn't have to do it. You know, and there's some level of like, yeah, sure, you're trying to win their trust, and we want to serve them at a bigger capacity. But like, now that's something that they have,
and they don't owe anything to us.
They don't owe anything.
Yeah.
And now because you did it out of you know, sure, you want to win them, but like and we tell them, like, whether you work with us or not, we want you to win.
Yeah.
And so if this helps you get there, amazing.
Yeah.
And so there's just, you never know. And I've seen things where, you know, I've done some sort of service in the prospecting stages, some sort of act of hospitality, and you don't win someone, you don't win someone, you don't win someone, and then sure enough, a year or two later, you get a referral, or you get that business, because you invested time into a relationship. And
Absolutely.
Now, what's clear to me is that I talk to a lot of old school business professionals who have sold like this for years, and it's nothing new. You know, you go to all these old sales books and like, that's kind of what they talk about it. But we've just gone into this world where it's like, make 100 dials a day and do your quota and use this script. And I think hospitality says, whoever you're selling to, you meet them where they're at, because you never know what that person could lead to the next. Chad Barrett, who's been on this podcast, is a perfect example of that kind of sales referral network. There's plenty of other benefits, but I do want to just say, like, there's a real ROI here for building network and letting potential clients who might not end up being your clients know this is how we work. It's not just how we sell, it's actually how we serve all the way through the process. So I think that's where it's really valuable in the sales process.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the operations side, I'll just kind of jump in and say, would you like to have less turnover of your team members? And how much are you willing to pay for that?
Yeah, right.
And the answer is do you think that if someone who loves music, if you find a local event concert that's like local talent or whatever, and you buy them a $20 ticket to go watch that with a friend, or 2 tickets?
I don't think they charge $20 anymore, James. I think that was
fine.
It's 2024.
It's
70s.
Okay, I do come from a different place. That's fine. Okay. All that to be said, whatever the cost might be, you're talking, not hundreds and hundreds or thousands of dollars to replace somebody. It's, oh my gosh, my boss bought me tickets to a concert.
Yeah,
that's stinking awesome.
Yeah.
You know, that's great stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And when people feel that you care, the fact that I get text messages from my team members, them sharing with me just about life.
Yeah.
This is going on in my life, James, and I'm like, I love it.
And
you're excited for them, you know? This is the kind of stuff that the value, I'll flip the script and say this. When you look at this story of hospitality and you're asking yourself, what's the outcomes of success, stuff we're talking about right now, but then also the flip side of that, of course, is like, what's the failures of not doing this? And that's a big risk. I mentioned it earlier, but like, when you're like, okay, so I could make people they will feel less valued. We already know less valued people don't stay in jobs longer than maybe 1 or 2 years. And then we're thinking, okay, and then shareholders, if they don't feel valued, and it's just not like they're not going to probably stay longer, or like the second that the numbers don't look right, they're out. And then you go over to the client side or to the sales side, and you start talking about client interaction, and you're thinking, if you do great work for somebody, but they feel not valued, or even worse, unseen, right? Like, they're not ever going to reference you to anybody else.
No.
Like, that's that mix of sales and operations where it's like, you don't just do great work. You got to do great work, care for them, build them up, and be like, this is so great that they want to tell other people. And then the sales guy's like, thank you. Because it's so easy. That's what I'm talking about. It's so easy when you do that. If you do not, though, like, let people feel cared for and valued, it's going to make the sales side of your company so much harder. Because the referrals aren't there. You don't have the social proof. Your marketing's harder. Those are big problems.
Absolutely. Now, I want to point out, just because we've been talking a little bit about the benefits and the risks that we're trying to avoid, the failure points, the average cost to replace an employee is about 6 months of their salary. So when you're factoring in lost opportunity, when you're factoring in the fact that the job is not going to be done if you weren't prepared for it, or someone else will be doing it, the morale hit on that front, or worse, you're going to be paying a headhunter that has to go out and find that person to replace that person. I mean, it is not cheap to have to replace a team member. And also, I mean, it goes without saying, but if you lose a client, that hurts.
Right.
Whatever that client was worth, plus whatever that network of clients was worth.
Getting hot in here.
So,
I'm just saying.
I mean, if your clients are not referring people to you, then obviously you're missing out on opportunities there. Because you're not engaging in a relationship that is powerful, strong enough, sincere enough to actually necessitate that.
I got to speak to this. You got to take care of every client. We talked about this earlier today. All the way down to the smallest client. All clients, every one of them, because they're networks. They're networks. And then even then, I'll even stop this. We have one of our fantastic clients came to us through someone who wasn't even our client. They were someone that you cared for. You were like, hey, you're a vet. It's awesome. You run a great company. Here's some marketing ideas and here's some things to get you going. And when you need something, let us know. And then we paid him for sign work. But he knew who we were, what was going on. And in his network, again, we didn't get paid for this guy. He wasn't even a client of ours. And he sends a referral over to us, who's now, one of our largest clients. And it's like, that's what it means.
There's something that Will says in his book. It's a story of actually one of his first bosses in the restaurant business. And he's coming into a company. He just got kind of promoted into this position, a leader position, and he is addressing his whole team. He brings everyone together and he says, look, my job here is to make this company win. And so my job is to love this company and AKA our clients, the people we serve. Now, you as the team, if you're a right fit player on this team, thank God you fall into that. But if you're against that ship, if you're not for the company and you're not for our clients, then I'm probably not going to love you very well. And I know that sounds a little funny, but there's a kind of a rally cry here that says like, hey, we built core values for a reason, hospitality being one of them, and we are going to follow these to the T because we know it serves our clients in this company the best. And guess what? If you're on that ship, you fall into that. And so it's just this, I don't know, man. It is a needed North Star to retain great employees, retain great clients, and find great clients, and then also just build community with your business. If you built a business just to make money, cool. But if you really build a business to impact the world, one, you're going to make more money, and two, you're going to be able to impact more people with hospitality.
Preach it. Preach it. You guys got anything else?
Well, I think it's pretty clear so far. We would like to encourage all companies to highly consider this idea of hospitality. I'm not saying every company in the world needs the
At least
core
read the
value
book.
for hospitality.
Read the book.
Read the book, and just remember the first word is unreasonable.
Yeah.
So I will challenge everybody. I want to say
good.
this: a lot of owners, especially guys like me, a lot of COO types that are very like, here's what the book say: unreasonable is unreasonable. And it's not supposed to make...
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
So
you got to ask yourself, are you willing to be unreasonable to make someone feel valued and cared for?
And I just want to speak into some practicality for this, how it's done. You don't show hospitality by handing out your company's branded merchandise.
Nope.
So if you put your logo on your Yetis or T-shirts or anything like that, and you hand it to your clients, are they going to feel loved and appreciated? Absolutely not.
It's not even good sales anymore.
It's not even good sales anymore. The only thing that might be beneficial is if like you put your logo on some pickleballs at a pickleball tournament.
or
something like that.
Or like
where
a
it's
putting golf at a show booth. I don't know.
Something like that. The way you show hospitality, just to wrap all of this up, is by being intentional.
It's really good.
And thinking about that specific person, not the company, the person. What do they care about? So I'll give you some examples of what we did. So for a business owner, they love their company. I mean, hopefully they love their company. So naturally, you want to show that you love their company. So for those business owners out there, we bought them some company swag for them.
Yeah.
Some high-end company swag that had their logo on it.
Don't go cheap. Don't go cheap.
I mean, it's going to be $100, $200.
Yeah.
But you get them a nice mug, you get them battery chargers and things like that. Stuff that once again, doesn't make any sense. We sent cookies to a marketing director's office.
Yeah.
So that they could have a sweeter day.
Yeah. Yeah. New hires.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You sent I guess cookies are always a win.
Cookies are always a win.
Thoughtful.
Cookies are always a win.
Yeah, especially for someone you don't know.
Yeah.
And so you send them cookies and you make their day for just a brief second, because it doesn't do anything for you.
Yeah.
It does something for them. Other examples. One of our clients, they're an Orthodox church essentially. And so one of our team members who had no prior connection literally found this woman's Pinterest page and saw, hey, this woman really likes this kind of baking stuff.
Yeah.
And so we got her a nice baking cake stand or
Yeah.
something along those lines. Very nice, very authentic, very intentional. And so those are the kind of things that you do. And sometimes you can just have them drop ship. Sometimes you need to package them up and write a handwritten note. Handwritten notes are always a good thing.
Yeah.
But regardless, it's so important to be intentional and think, what do they love? Not what would I like?
Yeah.
What do they love? Not what would I like?
Yeah.
And one size fits one.
Yes. Preach it. Awesome. Well, guys, thanks for hanging out with me
So good.
today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hospitality it's going to be the future.
Yeah.
It's going to be the future.
Oh yeah. With
For-
AI.
Yeah.
Oof.
I mean,
Well, if you- yeah.
intentionality, personal connection, relationship building, that is the future. You may not be able to get on the golf course with anybody anymore. You may not be able to fly across the country to meet with someone in person, but you can still show that you
That's right.
care. So handshake relationships, it's just the next version of that.
That's right.
And that's how you're going to win those clients
Yep.
and build those relationships that matter.
So good.
That's right.
Awesome.
Amen.
Well, thanks, guys. Thank you for hanging out with us today on Good Business. I hope you were encouraged by this. And if you want to learn more about our perspective on hospitality, check out our website, goodagency.com. We've got some info on our About page that goes into a little bit more about what we do. And I also encourage you to buy the book. I mean, I get no credit for this, so Will, maybe you can give me some royalties later. Unsponsored, but buy that book. It will certainly impact you in a positive way and impact your business. I'll also say, hey, smash the like button, subscribe now. Maybe you can kick the like button. I don't know.
Flick the bell. I don't know how to
flick
do it these days.
I don't even know.
Ring the bell.
But we'd love for you to stay connected. So please subscribe and share with your friends and family or anyone who you believe would be positively impacted by this message today. And so we'll see you guys next time on Good Business.